in welcoming our moderator, Dr. Ching-Heng. Please, the floor is yours. 掌声欢迎。
Thanks for joining this policy SIG. I'm Ching-Heng, the director of TWNIC and the chair of IANA RC. And saying policy SIG is to develop policies which related to the management and the use of internet number resources. And these include policies for resource allocation and transfer, and for resource registration within who is PKI and the related services. And today we are very glad to also have two wonderful speakers. They will talk about the APAC-TWNIC policy run-up and the IANA update. And the first speaker is Sunny Srinivas Chetty. He is the APAC-TWNIC senior advisor for membership and the policies. And he is responsible for supporting the APAC-TWNIC community in the resource policy development process and enhancing the level of engagement and the participation of the member of the community which APAC-TWNIC serves. And so let me give a big support to to Sunny and welcome his speech. Okay.
Hello everyone again. That's the reason I stayed on the stage. I didn't go down because I have another one to do back to back. This time I'm not talking about the capacity building, but I'm talking about the policy development and the policies that are going to be implemented in this region, in APAC region, and also what's coming up. If you're an ISP or a network operator and you have AS numbers, there's some changes going to be happening in 2025 to the AS, the way we invoice or bill the AS numbers. So I'll quickly cover that one as well. I'm not sure how many of you actually know that there is a policy development process within the APAC region, including the TWNIC as well in Taiwan, that we actually go through this process in developing proposals and policies for managing internet number resources in the Asia Pacific region. So who sets these policies? I'll just quickly run through a few slides so you understand what the importance of the policy development process in the APAC region. These policies are actually set by the community, the network operators, people like you, who have interest in policy development process. And the Secretariat, myself, and my colleagues at APAC Secretariat, we actually provide support to this development process, and we facilitate the sessions, discussions at APAC conferences. And also these proposals are discussed among all the around the APAC region, including the NIRs like TWNIC and others as well. Why do we need resource policy? Okay, the IP address resources, as we heard this morning, in the opening plenary, that the internet protocol numbers are very important to provide the internet services to the users and to manage them efficiently and effectively and within reasonable demonstrated need is very important, because these are public resources, these are scarce resources, and they should be managed properly. So to manage them, we need policies in place. So everyone follows those policies in managing those resources in a consistent manner. Our role, my role at APAC as a policy advisor and the APAC Secretariat itself is provide information like this one. I'm coming here, I'm here to share the policies, with you all. That's my role. And we also provide support to the actual special interest group where you all go and discuss these proposals to become policies, and provide support to them and help. My job, other role is also, if you have an idea and you want to put a proposal through, my job is to help you to write a proposal in a language that everyone understands, in a language that the policy in APAC-TWNIC understands as well. And then once everyone, you all reach consensus about that proposal and everyone agrees to the proposal, then it's my job to make sure that proposal is actually made, implemented, and become a policy. And then inform the community of all the new policies that I'm going to be talking to you here. Our policy, APAC-TWNIC policy framework is, we have a charter, and the charter is to actually look at all the policy discussions concerned with the resource allocation, recovery, transfers, RPKI, the routing security RPKI, and DNS and DNS security, etc. SIG is just a special interest group where you saw this afternoon, it was a cooperation SIG, cybersecurity SIG, and now it's the policy SIG happening here. It's the same that happens at APAC-TWNIC as well. And people join this SIG to be part of that discussions. Currently, we have a policy SIG chair and co-chairs. They are elected by the community. And they are the ones who actually listen to what the community is discussing, and they are the ones who decide whether that proposal reached consensus, whether everyone agreed or not agreed. Consensus is a rough agreement between the parties, between the community. It's not a voting system. We don't do voting at policy discussions. It's roughly to see whether you all agree to it or not, and it can be done by raising your hand whether you support or oppose the proposal discussion, and you work together to come to an agreement that whether that proposal should be implemented as a policy or not. So we have a tool, you see that graph on the screen, that we have a tool that, if you're not feeling comfortable in raising your hand in the session, you can actually log into the tool and you can express your voice, whether you support or oppose or etc. for that proposal. Policy changes happen constantly. I'm going to talk about a couple of new policies that are going to be implemented soon. So this policy process is, it evolves, and it goes back and it changes. It again make amendments, or sometimes we have new policies put in place. Okay, so some of the new policies that you should be aware of if you are a network operator, whether you're running an IXP or you're managing internet number resources and providing internet services to your customers. There's three proposals that will become policies soon. The first one is we have a proposal number for each of those proposals, so we can easily identify them. The first one is resizing of IPv4 assignment for the IXPs. So let me go through that one first. This was reached consensus by the community, and this proposal will become a policy for all the internet exchange points in the APAC-TWNIC region. And this policy will be applicable to the new internet exchange points as well as to the existing exchange points as well. And this policy is not retrospective. What that means is once this policy is implemented, those IXPs who received IP resources under the current policy will not have any change for them. So what does this policy means? This policy means any new IXP in this APAC-TWNIC region, if they establish a new IXP, they can come and request for IP resources. And under this new policy, the default size will be /26 IPv4. Whereas the current policy, they will receive a /24. But once this policy is implemented, they will only receive /26 as a default resources. Now, I hope that chart, the table on the right side of the slide will help you understand what I mean by /26 or /24 or /25s, and if they can demonstrate that, they have 60 peers or 100 peers in the next 12 months, they can either request for a /25 or a /24 IPv4, /23 IPv4 resources. And also, if they receive an assignment less than /24, they can request for a /23 as well. So regardless whether they have 26, 25, 24, they can come and request for /23 if they use 60% of that original assignment. If they don't use that, they cannot request it. If they use that, then they can come and request for /23 IPv4 new assignment. Now, this proposal also talks about existing IXPs, existing large IXPs. If they already received under the current policy, they received a /23 and they used 60% of that /23, they can come and request for a contiguous /22. That means, two /23s put together, that becomes a 22. And they can request a 22. But these days, with the scarcity of IPv4 addresses, we won't be able to provide a contiguous /22. Contiguous means, it's side-by-side allocations or delegations. We won't be able to provide. So it will be a new /22, even if whether we have it or not, I don't know. It depends. But if we have it, they will receive a new /22. But what that means is they have to return the existing one or old /23 within 3 months back to APAC-TWNIC or back to TWNIC. And any existing IXP, if they have a new POP, they can request IP resources for the new POP. Sometimes you open an IXP in one location, and you decide, okay, you want to open another IXP in a different location or different city, then also they can come and request for assignment, but the maximum should not exceed /22. Any resources that delegated under this policy will not be able to announce to the global routing table, because the IXP assignment is to use in the IXP infrastructure, not announced to the global routing table like what usually ISPs do. This is an IXP. It's only for peering inside the IXP. So if it's announced and if we see that that announcement is made, whether APAC-TWNIC or TWNIC, we have a right to revoke that assignment after informing the member. Any resources under this policy is also non-transferable. That means if you receive an assignment under this proposal, you should give it back to APAC-TWNIC or TWNIC if you don't have a use of it, but you cannot transfer that to someone else. So that's one of it. The second one is IPv6 assignment for associate members. I quickly go through this as well. This is a provider independent assignment. What that means is, if you want to have your own independent IPv6 addresses, you can actually come to APAC-TWNIC or TWNIC and receive your own delegation. Instead of requesting your ISP, you can actually get your own delegation. And this is for associate members in APAC-TWNIC region. And they must commit using these resources and advertising them within the 12 months of receiving it as well. This resource is non-transferable. That means they cannot transfer it. They must return to APAC-TWNIC or TWNIC if they don't have a use for it. And this resource, if you receive it from APAC-TWNIC, will be excluded from the membership fee. That means there is no fee for this /48 assignment. But any more than /48 subsequent assignments will incur a fee, but that /48 will not incur a fee under this policy. And also, this will not change the membership tier of that member. That member will remain as an associate member. Assignment of temporary IP resources. This is another policy that will be implemented. This one is for the conferences and events. A conference like this one or an event like this one, they provide internet services, but in this case, the hotel is actually, the venue is actually providing internet service here. But in APAC-TWNIC conference and APRIC conference, and also very large conferences, usually they provide their own internet service for the participants. In that case, those event organizers can actually come to APAC-TWNIC or TWNIC to receive a temporary assignment for that conference for 6 months only. After 6 months, they must return that address space to TWNIC or APAC-TWNIC. And they will have certain criteria. They will receive a certain number of resources under this policy, and minimum resources. If they need more than that, then they can come and request and demonstrate and request it. And also this assignment, even though it's temporary assignment, it will be registered in the WHOIS database, so the others can see who are actually using that address space. And once the purpose is finished, they should be returned to APAC-TWNIC or TWNIC, and they cannot use these IP addresses for any commercial purpose, that means selling products or selling things on the website, they cannot use this assignment. This is only for the events and conferences to provide internet service to the participants. Yeah, as I said, they have to return to APAC-TWNIC or TWNIC after that period of time, and they have to become an APAC-TWNIC member or TWNIC member. I believe TWNIC implements to receive this assignment. If they're not member, they can request this assignment through an existing member, and that member can membership tier will not change because of this temporary assignment. All right, implementation, this will be implemented as the status says, the IXP policy will be implemented quite soon, actually next month. It's just waiting for the final stage of the call. The two other proposals will be going to the APAC-TWNIC EC for their endorsement soon. And then once the endorsement is done, it will go for a final editorial comment on the mailing list for the community to provide any comments, and then it will be implemented right after that. So these are the policies that will be implemented soon. Quickly, I'll go through the AS number change. Do I have time, Ching-Heng? No? Should I stop here or quickly cover? Yeah. There will be some changes happening to the AS number in 2025. From January 2025 onwards, the fee will be increasing, and this was decided by the APAC-TWNIC EC, not the Secretariat. So what it means is that from 1st January onwards, if you have a APAC-TWNIC account or you are a member of NAR, for up to 2 AS numbers, it's free of charge. It will be included already in your membership fee. But if you have any more than 2 AS numbers, all those additional AS numbers will have an ongoing annual fee of $100 per year, per annum, per AS number. This is to safeguard the resources, they are public resources. So they should be really requested and demonstrated on a demonstrated need basis, that if you have a use for it, you request for it and you use it, not stockpile it or keep it for future use. So and also this will incur an administrative cost for APAC-TWNIC to manage them. And to delegate them, so there is a fee of $100. I'll stop here. I think this is more important for them to know, and I'm running out of time. But the slides will be published online. Please have a go look at it, and if you have any questions, you can ask TWNIC or myself as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Sunny. Sunny explained very detailed, and this policy will affect the application of the ISP and the IXP. And you have any question, you can ask the TWNIC or APAC-TWNIC. And we go to the second speech. The second speaker is Amy Quimmer. She's the Director of Operations of Internet Assigned Number Authority at IANA. Amy currently oversees IANA's operations of its 3 main functions in naming, numbering, and the protocol parameters. Her team works globally with top-level domain TLD manager and the 5 regional internet registries, RIRs, and the Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF, to update and maintain the Internet authoritative record. And let's welcome Amy. Amy, it's your time.
Thank you. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
There we go. Okay. So thank you very much, everybody, for having me. So today I'm going to give just a very brief introduction to what the IANA functions are. I'll give some updates about the policies and activities that have been going on in our area, and I'll briefly mention the accountability mechanisms that oversee the IANA functions. So what are the IANA functions? They involve maintaining the definitive records for the assignment of the Internet's unique identifiers, which we typically divide into 3 key areas. Names are the most prominent. You think of that as the top-level domain list, the DNS root zone. numbers, the global IP address and the AS number space, and protocol parameters, which are the codes and the parameters used by around 3,000 different internet technologies. And these are mostly implemented by software implementers. And most of the work in this area is done by the Internet Engineering Task Force, which is the IETF, but it's IANA that maintains the registries for them. Now, we don't create the policies, we just follow the policies and the procedures that are developed by Internet names, numbers, and protocol standards communities. Some examples, though, of what IANA actually does within these functions. So with the names, we do things like evaluating changes to the root zone. We identify the operators of the top-level domains. In numbers, we allocate blocks of IP addresses and AS numbers to the 5 regional internet registries, the RIRs. In protocol parameters, we evaluate new requests for registries that we publish, but we do it according to the IETF standards. We have a few other functions that we perform that don't follow neatly into those 3 areas, such as the repository for label generation rule sets, or formerly the IDN tables, which are the internationalized domain names. Many of you might be familiarized with this. This allows people around the world to use domain names in their localized languages and scripts. This actually started out as a table of best practices for IDNs, and then it became formalized and now is a requirement for GTLD operators to use. We manage the .int domain. .ints are used for registering organizations that are established by international treaties between or among national governments. We manage the .arpa registry, which is designated to be used exclusively for internet infrastructure purposes. And then we're also responsible for the root zone key signing key, which is the trust anchor used to secure the DNS with the DNSSEC protocol. And about 4 times a year, we run the KSK key ceremony. It's a highly auditable process where we have trusted community representatives and other witnesses. We stream it. We have external security witnesses who follow it. And it's all about ensuring community trust in the process. Now I'm going to go over some updates, again, of policies and other activities that are happening in our area. And one of the biggest ones that ICANN has been promoting, but which will hit IANA as well, is the next round of new GTLDs. The last round was in 2012, but we are anticipating accepting applications for new generic top-level domains mid-2026. IANA will obviously be the ones who will be delegating that to the root zone. In 2012, we had about 1,200 new GTLDs. It did include IDNs, but we are especially anticipating more IDNs for the 2026 round, thereabouts, which will, bring new opportunities for communities, again, to use their local languages and scripts. In the country code top-level domain area, CCTLDs, the country code name supporting organization has actually been fairly busy in the policy arena. They created the policy for the retirement of CCTLDs, which was actually recently implemented. This defines retirement triggering events. So this is when a CCTLD is to be removed from the root zone. It provides us when this should happen and the guidance for how to do so. They also developed a review mechanism. So if IANA's due diligence in carrying out policy and procedures is called into question in regards to a CCTLD activity, such as a CCTLD transfer, a review can be called upon. Right now, though, this is currently with the ICANN board for review. And then the CCNSO is currently performing a much broader analysis of all of their CCNSO policies. They're looking for things such as policy gaps, maybe things that they need to address with future policies. And this is an ongoing process that they're doing in a series of workshops right now. Another activity on the horizon is the creation of a private use TLD. Now, private use TLD is mainly used for enterprises and device vendors needing a locally defined domain name to support their applications and infrastructures. To date, these enterprises and device vendors have been sort of ad hoc, using strings that are not in the root zone. And the purpose is to just be used internally, but there has been evidence that these have leaked into the domain system. So by creating a private use TLD, IANA has selected .internal, which would not be put into the root zone. We're hoping to prevent that. The next step for this, though, is review by the ICANN board for decision making. We do have the next root zone KSK rollover happening. I previously mentioned that this is the process of changing the cryptographic key used to secure the global DNS, the so-called trust anchor. Ceremony 53 is actually happening this week. It's a special one because it's a 2-day ceremony since we're introducing new equipment that protects the key. And we're looking forward to our very first root zone KSK algorithm rollover. We've recently completed an algorithm study. We pulled in opinions from the community about how an algorithm rollover should be conducted, determining what the next algorithm candidates might be. We're looking at probably 2029 as the earliest when this rollover would happen. So we've still got quite a few years, but that is on the horizon. In the protocol parameter area, we're very excited. We're currently working on an enhanced visual presentation of our registries. We want to give a better experience to people who are looking at the registries with enhanced navigability. We want to do a standardized approach to the canonical URIs to make them more reliably citable, including down to the individual registration level. So the individual registration level is really at the row level, and we're going to provide a unique URL for each registration level, and that will make each registration level citable. And then we're implementing a new set of RIR service level agreements, or SLAs. These will be adding measurements relating to the provision of reverse DNS. This converts IP addresses to domain names. So we'll be adding some brand new SLAs to our already existing number resource performance reports. And speaking of service level agreements, this is just one of our accountability mechanisms. So let me talk about those. So SLAs are probably our most prominent accountability mechanism, which is a way to measure how IANA is performing. SLAs are built into all of our contracts with our naming numbers and protocol parameter community groups. But we actually have a number of other mechanisms. We've got oversight from community groups such as the Customer Standing Committee, the CSC. Periodical community reviews are performed. The RIRs perform an annual review of IANA. The naming community performs one every 5 years. We have third-party audits of IANA's adherence to procedures. This is done by, we do the SOC 2 and the SOC 3. Third-party audits of IANA's, the customer satisfaction surveys are also run throughout the year, and we've got a variety of surveys that we perform. So there are many different ways of auditing and ensuring that IANA is fulfilling the functions to the way that the community expects. And this actually brings me to the end of my presentation. So if there are any questions, please let me know. If not, but you have some in the future, you can always write to me at amy.creamer@iana.org or just iana@iana.org, which is easier to remember.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks for introducing the IANA 3 very important function for us. I know you are in American. Thank you very much for your presentation. So we will close this session because time restriction. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful sharing. Thank you so much.